Okay, good morning and welcome to the second edition of the HSSC HR Conclave. Now, before we begin formally, and I hand it over to my host our host for the program, Ms. Joy Gupta. I would request my colleague Parul Tripathi to start with the HSSC gratitude prayer. I would just request all of you to just listen to it very carefully. And Parul, it's over to you.
Yeah. So we start with the gratitude prayer. I'm grateful for who I am. I'm grateful for what I can do. I'm grateful for the family I have. I'm grateful for the love I receive. I'm grateful for the love I give. I'm grateful for the respect I receive. I'm grateful for the respect I give. I'm grateful for the food we eat. I'm grateful to be a learner. I'm grateful to be a teacher. I'm grateful to the creator and the universe. I'm eternally grateful, grateful, grateful. Thank you all.
Thank you, Parul. We have this kind of a tradition of starting with the gratitude prayer for all our major events. Thank you so much. It is my pleasure now to hand it over to Joy Gupta, who is a wonderful HR professional herself, a fantastic associate of HSSC, and she's our host and moderator for our conclave. So let's welcome Joy Gupta.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, sir, for that wonderful introduction and giving me this opportunity to be the moderator for today's session. And a very good morning and a very warm welcome to all. Thank you for joining us for the second edition of the virtual conclave by HSSE. I am Juhi Gupta, your moderator for today's event, and I am an HR professional with almost 14 years of experience. And in my current role as a corporate trainer, I'm delighted to be associated with HSSC as Project Lead Corporate Relations. I would also like to welcome Ms. Parul Tripathi as Project Lead CHIC Program and our first speaker in today's conclave is heading the LNOD at Eureka Forbes Limited. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Ajay Sachdev.
Are you ready?
Mr. Sachdev has been associated with Eureka Forbes since April 1996 and took a sabbatical for 2 years from 2007 to 2009. He has worked as a training consultant for MNYL, Star News, Tata AIG, Punch Lloyd, Maruti Udyog, HSBC, Swarovski, and many others. He rejoined Eureka Forbes in May 2009, and at present he is heading the LNOD portfolio for EFL Group. In his session, he will be sharing with us his valuable inputs on how HR can ensure high performance despite the current disruptive times. So Ajay sir, over to you.
Hello. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this conclave. And thank you so much, Joey, for that kind introduction. And Hari, if I usually love to call you with a short name, like you say.
Yeah, please.
Mixed together becomes MBA, so we'd love to call you Hari. What an amazing kickoff to an amazing conclave. And I'm sure people who are present today will be bringing and sharing their wisdom. And it will be a very memorable and insightful session throughout the day today. And I'm sure you have documented 17th April as quite a date in history.
Thank you, sir.
It will be referred definitely in HSSE. As you say, the legacy must go on. To just give me a minute now to come to the presentation mode and connect with you. Just give me 1 minute.
Ajay sir, if you can also increase the volume of the audio, as we are getting messages from people that they are not able to hear you properly.
Is this better?
Yes,
that improved a bit? Okay. Right, so just let me know if slide is visible.
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. Now what I'm seeing is on my screen, sorry, I don't use Zoom too much, but on my screen on the right hand side, I can see all of your screens coming. Is that the natural way how this works?
Yeah, you will be able to see us on the gallery view.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so what you could do, you can minimize that so that then you're only able to see your presentation.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Is Sam good to go?
Yeah, we are good to go. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. So happy and healthy morning to everyone. My heartfelt thanks to Hariharan ji for this amazing opportunity and for this awesome project, like I said. And I'm very grateful to all of you actually for gifting your presence and experience that will surely make this day very meaningful and insightful. This conclave by its own yardstick is another example of managing despite disruption. And all of us present in this conclave today are in the leadership positions and are fully aware that leadership is more of an art than a science. And I think it's very personal, deeply personal, and it's also very interpersonal to an extent. And all of us in the room today would agree that one time or the other, we do fall into comfortable pattern in our day-to-day lives, and our leadership roles are no different. Unless and until some kind of disruption comes along the way, and it puts us into a greater question mark that how effectively we are exercising the leadership responsibilities we have in our organizations, especially through this ever increasing and continuing disruption. How do I?
Ajay sir, I'm sorry to interrupt. I can hear you clearly, but there's still some people. In case it's possible for you to put it on full volume, that will be great.
Okay. Do you want me to put
this is better now.
Is 95. Shall I put on my headphones?
Yeah, you could do that.
Just a second, if that helps. Could be something with the laptop audio.
Yeah, you can increase the volume on your laptop also.
Yeah, that's another disruption. Just a minute.
Yeah. No worries. These things happen. So that's fine.
Is it better now?
Yes, I think. I hope it's good for everyone. Yeah. Let's continue, sir.
Okay. On my mic, I can hear a lot of background noise. I do not know where it's coming from. It's like a wind swirling or something. Okay. So I think one of the biggest questions today was that how do I as a leader manage performance despite disruption? How do we as an organization manage performance despite disruption? How do HR take on a new daunting role for managing performance despite disruption? And if we look at one basic thing, which is standing in front of us today, is slide changing? I don't know. If you can give me one feedback from one place, the slides are changing. So then
yes, it is changing.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. So while we fully know now, the one thing which is very certain in today's world, that our new normal, the way we call, will keep changing, and it will change very quickly. Thus, there is no escape from disruption. So why resist? And one fundamental learning we all have earned the hard way last year is that disruption can come in any form and from anywhere. So sometimes disruption takes the form of some unexpected feedback, which we get in our lives or in our workplace. When we step into new roles, when we are working with different stakeholders or different people, or even when we are assigned different responsibilities. Any of these things can cause disruption in our performance zone. And like we see that the disruption that has arrived in the form of a health and economic situation that has all the features of a complex crisis on a global scale. And I'm sure I have your understanding and support, friends, when I make a remark that future right now That future right now is unclear. There are many moving parts. So we are dealing with not one variable, but multiple variables in our organization or in our workplace. There are many solutions to the problems, and each of the solution is being challenged and contested. So everyone has a view, and society is behaving in alarmingly unpredictable and irrational ways. Because all of us throughout our lives, we were moving around predictability, knowing the future and making plans. And yet the last year has taught us that even best of our guesses, nothing is certain. And we are required to improvise when the unexpected arises. And frequently, as we know, action comes from a crisis of necessity. The kind of people working from home has skyrocketed. Enterprises must be more ready than ever before for digital change to accommodate events. And I'm sure Dilip will be taking us through a whole lot of journey and insight, talking about how technology has been making a constant shift in our lives post-COVID. And for us at Eureka Hope, it was no different. And we realized very soon at the organization that disruption will change the way we work as an organization. Disruption will change the way I work as a leader, and disruption will change the way we work as a team in the organization. And I think three strong behaviors which stood out. If we have to face disruption, if we have to go through disruption, it's very important that we coach ourselves to be calm in our approach. We need to be authentic in our action. And at any given point in time, we need to continue cultivating trust in all that we do. So therefore, it's like giving importance to the organization first, then to teams, and then to yourself. So keeping organizations at the helm of affairs. And as an organization, when we were faced with this kind of disruption, we realized that there are 4 gateways that we need to go through if we need to continue to perform despite disruption. The first gateway, people, beginning with the people. Now, what about people? So in Eureka Hope, we realized number one, the first and the foremost accountability as an organization we have is the well-being of people, their well-being, their families' well-being. Second comes, of course, is their productivity and performance. The second gateway that we need to go through is customers, the very purpose of our existence, the continuity of business with the customers, securing a sustainable future that is health and hygiene for them as well as for ourselves. And more importantly, between people and customers, there was this shifting context. You know, what I mean by this is that as an organization, can we anticipate change? All the people available in the conclave today, I mean, we need to resonate with the fact that to what extent disruption can continue to challenge us. Are we ready for that? And are we clear about the ways of facing or even adapting to disruption? And of course, the final gateway is the organization itself. That as the organization, as Eureka Hope, what is our capacity and resilience to perform and lead during these times? So these were the 4 gateways which we had to go through. And since this journey was happening for the very first time, there was a strange amount of undefined and unclear fear which was lurking all across at every level of leadership. As an organization, we discovered ourselves standing at the crossroads. So we had a choice, either we forget everything and run, or we face everything and rise. So we were at a crossroads, and our answer was wrapped up in few tough and some new questions which we were bound to answer for the very first time in our life since the very inception of the organization. So the world is constantly changing, and I'm sure all of you must have experienced or experiencing the same during this continued disruption. So we had some tough questions to ask ourselves as an organization. Now, this is not in any order, but the questions I'm sharing with you, which were very, very daunting for us, how to conceptualize all the factors that will help or hinder performance in a virtual and flexible environment. Are we ready as an organization? What will be the appropriate infrastructure to underpin performance? Do we have that? Do we even have a clue for that? How we will continue to evaluate and review performance with limited visibility of leadership and the team members? How is motivation being impacted as people engage in new ways of working? Do leaders have the skills and capabilities, and more important, confidence required to lead and embed this new way of working? We weren't sure of that. Equally important, are there enough mechanisms in place to maintain contact with those who decided to work remotely or who have started to work remotely? Equally important was that how do we navigate ambiguity and fear inherent in disruptive situations? These were some of the tough calls we had to take as an organization. And Eureka folks finally decided to answer these questions and take a step forward with conviction that we would face everything and rise. That's what we finally decided. Now the challenge was how. So if we have got our mindset oriented towards face everything and rise, we got our attitude towards face everything and rise. Now it was time to draw a blueprint for the success. So that how can we go through this disruptive moment and yet sustain and maintain and arrest some of the pitfalls so that the performance is not lost. So as an organization, we decided that we would have a three-pronged approach. The first one was rebound, which means, can we manage the current situation on hand? What all is required to be done? What is the current battle we all are going through as an organization, as a team, as a vertical? So the first strategy was rebound. Second was resilience. How do we ensure that the business continues? How do we ensure our vendors, our partners, our stakeholders stay connected with us during this troubled time? And more important, I think the toughest question which stood in front of us was, what is that we need to reinvent so that we become disruption proof? Now the question definitely was, is there anything called disruption proof? Can we actually be disruption proof or we can be disruption ready? So what is that we need to reinvent? So when I say reinvent, I could say that 40 years legacy of business model was actually coming to a question mark. And I think that's enough serious alarm raised by the disruptive times all around us. So friends, I will be sharing some of basic, decent, good, successful business practices that we adopted and adapted both at the same time. And I think that you might find some of them to be meaningful and useful because for us, they were simply game changers. So I would be talking about few of the practices that helped us through these disruptive moments to manage performance. And so I'll be sharing maybe one or two practices in the rebound strategy, in resilience strategy, and in the reinvent phase. So when it comes to rebound, I think the very first and the foremost question and the task which stood in front of us as an organization was, we decided to make a comeback for our customers. And the initiative, War Room, proved success for our strong and early recovery during disruption. Because rebound was survival of the fittest, very, very critical. Customer complaints and customer requests were on high during lockdown. People were very worried whether they will continue to get a safe and a healthy drinking water or not, and how will that be attended and catered by the organization. So this was our first bell which we need to attend to. This was the first biggest challenge from the customer's perspective. But internally, what I've not put on the slide, friends, but I'm sure you will resonate. The other bigger challenge was, how do we pay salaries to 15,000 people on time? Yeah, Hari? Hello? Hello?
So you may please continue.
Okay. Yeah. So the first and the foremost challenge came was that how do we pay salaries to 15,000 people on time? And on 15,000 people, if you look at almost 60 to 65,000 family members were dependent. So it was a no mean task by any way. So we came up with first to cater to customers and at the same time attend to the needs of employees. So survival of the fittest and the war room, an innovative approach for reaching out to our customers. So Delhi was technically divided into 4 zones: north, east, west, and south. 4 service officers were designated in each of the zones. And then we had our call center going up and running. So all the customer requests which were getting posted to the call center, they were further bifurcated and distributed among each of the service officer at each of the respective zones, who in turn would personally get in touch with the customer to understand his need and requirement, to educate the customer through WhatsApp video and video calling, and help him, teach him through the video call a very basic maintenance for which he does not require a service technician to visit him, so that he continues to get a healthy and safe drinking water. The do-it-yourself kind of an attitude and approach was adopted by the organization. We even got some exclusive passes for the red zone. I'm talking Delhi NCR as an example right now, because this practice was then extrapolated all over India. So all the major cities have adopted the war room strategy, but I'm talking Delhi NCR right now. So if customer is not able to get complete satisfaction or is not able to technically handle the unit, then the complaint would be passed or a customer request would be passed to our more technically qualified senior service technician, who we call as a service field coach. That's an internal terminology. The senior technical person would then get in touch with the customer and help him bail him out of the situation. So for example, how to remove the unit from the wall, how to remove the screws, and how to do the basic maintenance or the candle cleaning, so on and so forth. Now, this proved to be a very, very vital strategy because we were connected with our customers. And very happy to share with you, we started this initiative in the month of May. And May, June, July, when lockdown was its prime, we were able to resolve 35,000 customer requests in Delhi NCR alone. And all the service technicians, as you see here, who then started visiting at an SOS basis to some of the customers, they were personally recognized by the managing director and CEO. And from an HR perspective, it will be worth noting that it was duly acknowledged in their yearly appraisals too. Yes, you got it right. Despite the disruptive year, we have gone ahead with promoting people, which is a very good sign of the healthy organization. We have gone ahead in giving increments to people, and we have gone ahead in giving a minimalistic bonus to our people. All said and done, as an organization, we stood thick and thin, and they stood thick and thin for us. Another initiative under the rebound strategy was we launched a program called iCare, which is tracking health of Eurochamps and partners. Now, Eurochamps is an internal terminology which we use for our people. For all our frontline, all our salespeople are called Eurochamps. Even I am called as a Eurochamp in an organization, and all the people present in the conclave today from HR, they are also known as Eurochamps. So that is a matter of pride for us. And all our partners, when I refer to partners, I refer to our business partners and trade partners. So how do we track health of all these people collectively as a family? So we had set up a cell called iCare in Mumbai Marathon office. We had a national SPOC, we had regional SPOC, and we had regional HR and area HR people all working together with the profit center heads and with the business unit heads. And we were on a weekly basis tapping into our team members to understand what they are going through, how are they facing this, do they need anything in terms of some kind of food aid or financial thing or any kind of medical services do they need or their family members need, any kind of, if they need to vent out something, if they're feeling heavy, okay, they are feeling a little frustrated, they are feeling little lost, they are feeling insecure, do they wish to connect to somebody and talk it out? Because this lockdown was something like never before experienced. And as a result of iCare initiative, we decided as a management to introduce live sessions on managing anger, managing stress, How do we face and cope up with the new normal? So how do we resolve ourselves at a psychological level when we are totally confined to our homes during the lockdown phase? So this eye care proved to be a great lifesaver for the organization, and it gave us a strong connection with our people throughout the disruptive time. So these were the two strategies I thought out of 8 initiatives which we had executed. I am sharing only 2 for the benefit of the time. And as we move on to the resilience, well, the question came, what it takes to get the business going. And if I have to put it, I can state here very clearly, friends, that startup mindset in a corporate setup. Yeah, that's right. Startup mindset in a corporate setup. Because in regard to how can we decrease time to market, how can we decrease operational costs, how can we improve customer experience, and how can we increase the overall organization effectiveness. So the mantra, the focus or theme during disruption was realigned as healthy growth. Now, what do we mean by healthy growth? It's like if we have to maintain the balance, the health of the business, cash will be the king once again, because cash reserve was indeed the most sought after currency during the lockdown phase. So we launched an initiative called Discipline in a Manner, like every call at 4 drive, meaning every day at 4 p.m. there would be call with the business unit heads along with the accounts team, along with the managing director and the president for the first 90 days of the disruptive moment to understand where are we in terms of our outstanding. What is that we need to collect? What is there still spread in the market which we need to bring back home? So the daily collection calls was done with great rigor and discipline to collect. And that gave us a lot of confidence, because when money started to come in, it was giving us a confidence and a boost and a zeal to give to our own people on time. And this initiative, after it started showing us a great success, we went into the protection phase of business continuity. So we launched another 2 initiatives called Project 100 and vendor payment. Now, Project 100 was a drive which was referred to that how can people in their own little ways contribute to the cost cutting savings so that it adds up to the 100 crores kitty during the lockdown. So all of us in Eureka folks started finding out various ways and means and renegotiate vendor payments. Well, this was a big booner for us and a big game changer for us, because we got in touch with our vendors, we got in touch with our landlords for rent. And I'm sure many of you present in the forum today have gone through or have done this similar kind of initiative with remarkable results you people must have accomplished. I know at my own little capacity, even I was able to contribute 19 lakhs rupees as a saving through the thermal scanner deal which I cracked through the renegotiation through the vendor. So I also feel little proud that I have also contributed to the Project 100. So to ensure that the cash is coming into the organization, various initiatives from time to time were introduced. And then came the big one for us, reinvent. So what's working and what's not? What will and what won't? That is the question, which literally made us to relook at a 40-year-old legacy. And the first thing we came up with something called Eureka Folks Code. Code actually stands for Contactless Demo by Eurochamp. By Eurochamp, I mean frontline people. And this picture that you see, friends, these are the models who shoot for Eureka Folks. They represent our frontline salespeople. So when we say code, which is contactless demonstration or contactless demo by our salespeople to the customers, this is a unique sales tool in form of a mobile app, which started to empower our frontline sales team for easy adaptation to new ways of selling and giving a contactless demonstration to the prospects and existing customers. Now, this actually came with tremendous amount of power pack features. So the frontline salespeople can give demo anytime, anywhere. They could monitor their own.
Ajay, I'm sorry to interrupt. We just have another minute to go.
Okay.
Yeah. So then we can also take a couple of questions after that.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And then All these features that you see was basically introduced to give a comfort and empower the frontline salespeople. So as we moved along, we also launched a service app for our customers connect. Like Hari just rang a bell that there is a moment ago, so I'm skipping a 40-second video. If the time permits, maybe towards the end of the conclave, I would play that video for all of you, because this was something which comes under the umbrella of digitization, something which we have never done since the very inception of the organization. We did for the very first time. The entire intent was to stay connected with our customers and to be there for our customers. And lastly, and more importantly, came was the upskilling and building capabilities for our people. So it's not only that we are looking to develop our people, which means the frontline, or getting in touch with our customers, but internally how well geared and how well prepared we are. So there were a lot of initiatives introduced. We had live webinars. We designed 31 new programs. Over 100 sessions were conducted. 5,000 people were trained during the lockdown. And webinar engagement experience ranged just from normal chats to live polls, role plays, self-assessments, psychometric tools, mini quizzes, so on and so forth. We even launched something called SLP, a self-learning program, an online business management program, which is an 18-month curriculum spread over 2 semesters, where people are exposed to 2 general management skills and 4 functional skills. So people were handpicked and identified by the HR. So right now, 112 people are enrolled in this business management initiative. In addition to it, we never stopped introducing the diagnostic surveys and self-assessment tools from time to time. So hundreds and hundreds of people have been taking these kind of tools because we, during lockdown, strengthened our LMS, the learning management system. Because upskilling, like we used to say in Eureka Forbes, learning was never locked down. And to come to a bit of this diagnostic surveys and self-assessments, I can address towards the end of the conference in detail, because we have initiated and conceptualized very unique kind of surveys which are only patented to Eureka Forbes. One of them is REE, which is a response effectiveness and efficiency survey, which contains 74 items. And this is a very unique survey we did, which brings the closeness and proximity of the cross-functional teams, insights, engagement, and better business integration. So all of these initiatives were taken during lockdown to ensure that performance is not compromised at any given point in time. And even Eureka Forbes rechristened itself. So today we are very proudly driven by our vision, a healthy world, a protected you, and a happy us. And that's the new logo of Eureka Forbes that you see. So friends, if I have to conclude, this is my last slide. If I have to conclude, I would only conclude with sharing with all of you that tough situations force people to get creative. And in order to succeed, the results could be related to different processes, new products, or changed attitudes. And at Eureka Forbes, we had a lot of new processes started during this lockdown phase, during this new normal. A lot of new products and SKUs were launched for the customers. And as an organization, our attitude to gratitude and a lot of mindset and skill sets were developed continuously to ensure that performance through disruptive times is maintained and sustained. And very happy to report, over the last year performance, all our frontline salespeople and sales leaders in all verticals, along with the support function, we are happy to close this financial year on 98% of our target achievement. So we have not lost on business, hardly 2%, but that's worth it. So thank you very much, friends, for being part of this journey and giving us an opportunity to share our practices with you. Hope you find it useful. Thank you so very much.
Awesome, Ajay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ajay sir, for those wonderful insights and for rethinking and changing our vision about fear. So from now onwards, all of us would agree that fear for us would also mean face everything and rise. And on that note, I would also like, if people have their questions, they can please share their questions on the chat box. We would be happy to address those questions.
Yeah, we'll have time for just questions.
I think I see Milind raise his hand. Oh, thank you. You have